I want to continue up on our discussion on something that's most fundamental to our life and living, and that is our immune system, which has two parts to it. An innate immune system that's like our skin, that just sort of built in to prevent, they're called pathogens, bacteria, viruses, etc., that can infect and bring disease to the body. And then the adaptive immune system, which is what we do when the pathogens have gotten through and our body is at risk. And the word that I described yesterday is part of the pathogen is called the antigen. An antigen is that part that you could say delivers the disease, the virus, the bacteria. And the body has built in a response, a specific antigen. The body creates a specific, what's called an antibody. And they go at each other. And the antibody, when the immune system is strong, the antibody, which is produced by white blood cells, which are formed in the bone marrow, they target the antigens, they kill it off, and they also, or they move it away from an infected area, and they also have a memory. So if that antigen ever returns, the mechanism is in place to again target and defeat the antigen. So here's the big word there: white blood cells. And this is where stress comes in. And you've heard me talk in the past a lot about cortisol. Cortisol is the stress hormone. When we perceive something, we feel a threat, and there's, we're worried about an exam, or something has happened to someone in our family, or there's some threat, then the amygdala and the hypothalamus send a message to what's called the adrenal glands that sit on top of the kidneys, and boom, cortisol is sent out. We like a little bit of cortisol. It helps attack whatever needs to be attacked. It gives the fight or flight. It actually increases white blood cells, and now we handle the problem. However, when an acute stress becomes a chronic stress, then what cortisol does is it ends up suppressing white blood cells. It ends up suppressing our ability to fight those antigens. And this is why stress is a fundamental cause of sickness. Why, in fact, with COVID-19, the people who have high levels of cortisol, they're called immunosuppressant, more likely to get COVID-19 along with common cold and any number of viruses and diseases. So this is where all the discussion about keeping healthy and eating properly and exercising properly, how to manage, how to handle cortisol. Because high levels of cortisol absolutely lead to anxiety and depression and digestive problems and headaches and muscle tension and pain and heart disease, weight gain, sleep problems, all because of high levels of cortisol. And when you do the research, there has been no real effective modality to address cortisol, the high levels of cortisol. I mean, they tell you to eat a healthy diet, and they say, keep a journal and write about your thoughts, which is great. Take time for hobbies, foster friendly, healthy friendships, have a sense of humor. That's really good when you're really anxious. Just have a sense of humor. Volunteer in your community. But the thing that we know is the research shows that when we transcend, specifically when we transcend, when we settle down a little bit or a lot, whatever happens in the next 20 minutes, that according to published research, there's a 30 to 40% reduction in cortisol levels. They don't see this anywhere else. And that's why you say, and you write to me these wonderful notes about how you feel less anxious, that your window of tolerance is expanding, that you are more flexible, more resilient. It's not because of some mental attitude. It's because cortisol levels are down, your body is less reactive, you're less, just flipping into that fight or flight sympathetic nervous system. To conclude, when we talk about the immune system, everything is important. We have to eat properly. We have to exercise right. It is good to have hobbies. It is good to, if you like keeping a journal, all those things are important. But again, I come back to this all times, but right now in particular, regularly giving the nervous system this deep rest so that it can reduce the cortisol levels. Very healthy. And now we know why. Reduced cortisol means more lymphocytes, which means more antibodies, which means stronger immune system. This poem, Invictus, I read it because Nelson Mandela, the anti-apartheid leader who was jailed 27 years for his activism, and in 1994 became president of South Africa, regularly recited the poem Invictus during his imprisonment. Invictus, which means unconquerable or undefeated, in Latin was written in 1875 by William Ernest Henley. Out of the night that covers me, black as the pit from pole to pole, I thank whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstance, I have not winced nor cried aloud. Under the bludgeonings of chance, my head is bloody but unbowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the horror of the shade, and yet the menace of the years finds and shall find me unafraid. It matters not how strait the gate, how charged with punishments the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. Thank you all for joining, and we'll connect again very soon.